Hi, this is Minda Wilson with David Korse from the Abilities Expo. He's the president and CEO. Hi, David. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved with the Abilities Expo.
Well, Linda, thanks for having us. It's our pleasure as well. The Abilities Expos have been around since 1979. We did not originally launch them. They were launched by a gentleman who's since passed away, who was a wheelchair user and was very frustrated by the lack of product selection he could find at his local retailer. So he actually started the very first Abilities Expo in Los Angeles, not as a business, but as a place where he and some of his friends could go shopping, thinking all the exhibitors from back east would come out to California to bring their products. So it was kind of an accidental brainstorm. My business partner and I discovered the events a little over 10 years ago. They were for sale by somebody who had acquired the events after the passing of the founder. So we made the investment in 2008 and have now owned the shows, well, for a little over 10 years.
Wow. But how did you decide Abilities Expo? Is it something personal to you, or is it something that you said, oh my God, this is such a needed thing?
Probably a little bit of both. My business partner and I both come from the events industry. So we're getting a little older and we're looking for sort of a retirement project to do. And we discovered Abilities Expo. We did some research on it. To be very honest, we fell in love. We each have some small ties to the disability community from before, but we went to one of the events and looked at it and fell in love with what the shows were doing, the audience it was attracting, and some of the good things that were coming out of the enterprise. And like anybody who thinks they're good at something, we felt we could make them better than they were. So when we bought them, there were 2 of them, and now there are 8 of them in North America. And we're having so much fun and working so much harder than we ever expected for this retirement project.
But it seems like you're doing a good service for people because you're bringing new technology and new opportunities into the lives of the disabled.
Yeah, we think so as well. There are a lot of things about the disability community that a lot of people aren't aware of. First of all, how large it is. According to the Department of Labor, there are almost 15% of the population is covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act. That's over 50 million people around the United States. And it's a community that a lot of us don't tend to recognize or just realize we just don't pay attention. We don't think about some of the obstacles that people with disabilities have to go through. So we feel like we're doing good work by giving them access to products and services. About 15% of our exhibitors are not-for-profit organizations. People like United Cerebral Palsy and the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, they're there sharing free resources to our visitors. But the shows are also more than just about the products. There's an awful lot of education and networking that goes on. We have all sorts of free attractions. Our event coming up in Los Angeles next month, we'll have a 25-foot adaptive climbing wall that anybody can get up, whether you are in a wheelchair or not. Admission to our shows is free. We have free loaner scooters for people that need them, free workshops. So people that tend to come as much for the networking and a chance to see friends or meet new friends who are from the same community. We often hear people say things, this is the one place I come each year where I'm not the only one like me, whether it's a person with a vision impairment or somebody who's blind or deaf or in a wheelchair or a power chair. There will be more people with a disability gathered in one place at one of our events than most folks would see anyplace else. And that makes for a fun time.
And the thing is that the definition of disabilities is broad, as you pointed out. A lot of people think disabled people are people who are in wheelchair, or they think they're people who have the handicap stickers on their car. There's a lot of people that can benefit from attending your events.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's easier to see someone with a mobility issue, somebody who's in a wheelchair or a power chair or even using a walker or in a scooter. It's easy to see somebody who's blind because typically they'll have assistance or a guide dog, or perhaps a cane, but you may not notice somebody with a vision impairment. You may notice somebody who's deaf because you see them using American Sign Language, but there are a whole lot of folks around who are hearing impaired. And talk about people who are on the spectrum, people with autism or Asperger's or other kinds of disabilities, and people with invisible disabilities, people who have nerve or muscle or skeletal issues that you can't really see, but what they're dealing with every day. So, as you say, it's a very large community of people looking for information.
And there's an opportunity for cross-pollination too, because you can learn from the different people that have different problems. I mean, how they've coped with things in their life.
It's true. I think the thing you'll find for the people who tend to come to our events, like any other walk of life, there's some of us who have wonderful energy and can't wait to get going, and others of us who have less energy and it's hard to get started. And the disability community is that way as well. The people who are less able to get out and around or less inspired to look for independence typically don't come to our events. It's not of interest to them. The people that do come to our events are the people who are seeking as much independence as they can, who are interested, want to engage, want to expand, want to identify and explore all of the opportunities that any one of us would want to explore. And that motivation gets them from home or their office to the expo floor at the 8 different shows that we organize around North America.
So where are these shows? Where can people go to them?
Well, they can find out all the dates and venues just by going to our website, which is really easy. It's www.abilities.com. But in calendar order, starting in February, we're in Los Angeles in February, we're in Toronto, Canada in April, we're outside of New York City in May, we're in Chicago in June, Houston in August, Boston in September, San Mateo, California, near San Francisco in October, and in Dallas, Texas in December.
Wow. So it's a lot of opportunity and a lot of to meet people. But the other thing that's interesting is that there's an opportunity for entrepreneurs as well to develop technologies for people in that community. I think sometimes it's a little overlooked. As the population ages, a lot of adaptive technologies are going to be more and more valuable and required.
It's absolutely true. Technology is making such differences. And like any other industry sector, some people identify it because it's a growing sector and it's financially a good entrepreneurial opportunity. A lot of others are basically inventing or creating products or services for their own needs to solve a problem and finding out that other people have the same problem and winds up launching a business or a product that can help more than just themselves. We have tons of new-to-market companies that use the events either to launch and to announce them, or sometimes people will come to the events just to do the research, use the events almost as a giant focus group to say, here's the product I'm developing. It isn't ready for prime time yet, but before I finish it out, what do you think? Would this be useful to you? What can I do better or differently? And then we'll come to a subsequent event once they get the product ready and launch it then. So we have very large customers who come to the shows with well-established products and services, and a bunch of entrepreneurs who are coming with brand new things. My favorite sector is we often get university students who are working on projects either in entrepreneurship, or if they're from MIT, they're working on some kind of technology product, and they identify the disability community as the sector and bring these cool new leading-edge technologies to the shows as part of a student project, which then turns into a real company after they graduate.
So what are some of the most interesting things you've seen lately?
Goodness. One of my favorite things that's visually most interesting are exoskeletons. These are devices that kind of attach to the outside of a person who's a paraplegic and actually allows somebody who's normally a wheelchair user to stand and walk around with the assistance of this computer-assisted extraskeletal technology. It looks a little bit like something out of Star Wars, actually. We're seeing some new wheelchair-type products that are, do you remember the Segway product where people kind of lean one way and it goes, well, somebody's developed a new wheelchair that is sort of Segway-ish in that It's not only electric, but you control it with your balance. So if you want to turn left, you just lean a little bit left. And if you want to back up, you lean a little back. Another company has developed a device. It's a couple of years old now, but it's really doing well. It's called a smart drive. It is actually a push wheel working off a battery that attaches to a manual wheelchair. And if you're in a manual wheelchair and you're to be going to a shopping mall or going up and down the hills of San Francisco, this attaches to a manual chair and turns it into kind of a power chair. So that kind of technology and tons of apps. We get companies like Airbnb and others who are coming to the show because they want to make sure people know that they handle accessible accommodations, things that you just don't think about as being part of the disability community, or travel agents who are specializing in travel for people with a disability. There are too many to mention, but those are some of the ones that off the top of my head.
Wow, that's amazing. There are so many exciting things going on for adaptive technologies. And I think one of the things that's happening is that as people age, we have an aging population, and they may not be considered disabled in the way it's defined, but they also can take advantage of some of the products and services that they might see, and building a community that's available through your opportunities.
It's such a good observation. As I said, my business partner and I are no longer young men. We don't like to admit it, but we're not. And some of the products that were originally designed for someone with a disability could be in our future as time goes on, as things begin to work a little less effectively as you get older. So whether it's scooters or wheelchairs, or a need to aid our vision or aid our hearing, make things easier to read, just so many things that apply to the disability community that also apply to parts of the aging community. It's interesting. I won't respond personally to an ad that talks about seniors or senior citizens or stuff. I just don't identify with it. But we have a lot of people who come to our events who are the children of people who are aging and don't want to admit they may need some help. And the kids are coming to the show, adults in their own rights, looking for products that might help their mom and dad get around more effectively. So yeah, it's not just for the disability community. It's also for anybody, particularly on the mobility side, or hearing or vision, that's looking for a little help as they get a bit older.
I know and the thing that's interesting to me is just that there's a certain opportunity, an entrepreneurial opportunity that's happening where, people get older, their hearing isn't as good. So there are a lot of opportunities for a lot of products that work for the hearing impaired that are certainly valuable for the elderly population. Their eyesight isn't as good. There are a lot of aids that are available, in terms of technology and assisting with computers. That also is an opportunity for people to see what's out there and maybe out there in the future. And on the caregiver side, there are a lot of tools available that will help caregivers take care of their family members that are available to and they have a chance to come and see them. Don't you agree?
All the observations you're making are spot on. I mean, it's interesting. Demographically, about 40% of the people who come to our event identify themselves on the registration form as being a person with a disability. But another 40% of the people that come to the exhibitions identify themselves as a family member and or a caregiver for a person with a disability. So be you a person taking care of someone with a disability or assisting them, someone with a disabled person as part of the family looking for products or services to help out, or a person with a disability just looking to explore the options. Those are the people that make up 80% of the audience that come to our events.
I understand that you've been involved in disabilities law. Is that true?
The events we do workshops on disabilities law, and we have lots of exhibitors who are law firms specializing in disability law. Personally speaking, for me, David, no, I'm not an attorney and not directly involved.
I just read about the opportunities, and I was trying to highlight the fact that there's a lot going on in the law, and in the opportunities of coming to these events, they have a chance to become educated and learn more about disabilities law as well, correct?
Absolutely. We have workshops on disability law, and as I said, several exhibitors. We have our Los Angeles show next month. We do have a disability law workshop, which is free of charge for visitors, and several different lawyers who are competing for the opportunity to give you help or give you advice.
But it's interesting. I mean, one of the things that's most fascinating about you is you're an entrepreneur. So you've made this a business, but you've also made it a passion. So when you're talking to people who want to be entrepreneurs, what's your advice for them for starting some kind of business that ties these two things together?
I think part of the advice is all the regular blocking and tackling of any new venture. Just do your research, make sure you understand the marketplace, understand what it is you're going to do that's different from what other folks are going to do. The things you just basically learn in a business class or in your own business experience. The thing that makes the difference, I think, for us is that we are very, very, very passionate about this community. We enjoy serving it. We feel like we're creating value for the people who attend. We have met so many amazing, inspiring people, not only around the country, but around the world as part of this community, that our lives are better for having done it. So I think whatever you're going to do, if you can go after it 110%, you have a much better chance of success if you're going at it half-heartedly or without full conviction.
So for people who are interested in being entrepreneurs, especially serving this community, it's about the drive and the wanting to serve people, and it's about being passionate about what you do. But for a lot of people who think they just want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't really know what they're going to do, what's the evaluation process you went through? You said you were in this space and you looked at a lot of things. What did you go through to figure out this is the thing you wanted?
We started because we had experience in a particular industry, and that industry is putting on exhibitions or conferences. So it doesn't matter what the exhibition or conference is for, the skill set is very much the same. It's kind of like being a party planner or a wedding planner. There are certain things, a checklist of things you have to do. The key is anybody else doing the same thing you're thinking about? And if they are, what's different about what you're going to do than what they're doing? So any review we did of possible opportunities for us involved doing that exercise. How many other people are doing the same thing? How are they different? What do we think we can do better or differently that'll make a difference to people? It's not any different really than looking for a new home. You have in mind how much money you're going to spend, kind of where you want to live, but you're looking at all these different homes of different styles, different architecture, different size, different landscaping. And when you look at those homes, you're evaluating them based on what you think you can do. You may not like the landscaping, but you love the house and think after you change the landscaping the way you'd like it, it'll be the perfect house for you. So instead of looking for a home, we were looking for a business opportunity. And when we found Abilities Expo, we thought it had a unique place in the market that we could not only expand, but also defend. We thought if we could do a good job, it would be difficult for anybody else to come into the segment and launch against us because we thought we could build a better mousetrap. So I think the steps are the same. And there are all sorts of books and college classes on entrepreneurship or business development. They'll tell you the same thing I did. They'll just do it better.
I think what I want to do is to just, as we talk, one more final point about what it means to be disabled and then to encounter things that can make your life better. We were talking about those people who are less active, less interested in engaging, but we need to create opportunities for them. So how do those people become aware of some of the offerings that you have at your expo? And is there an ongoing opportunity for them to see what you're creating? How do those people get involved with what you're doing?
Well, we're as active on social media between Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as we can be. If you Google things like Disability Expo or conference or trade show, we come up high in the Google search ratings. We're trying to let people find us as easily as we can. With a website like abilities.com, we hope that people will find us that way. And if you Google disability, we'll pop up also. So I think it's kind of a build it and they will come. All we can do is let people know that we exist and let them know that we have assets and resources available. For those that aren't in any of those 8 geographic markets, it's just not convenient for someone living in Kansas City to go to Dallas or to Chicago. We make a lot of the resources available online, and those are all free. So we're happy to share the resources. They're there for anybody who does any kind of looking for them. The key is somebody has to want to look in the first place. And for every person there is that does want to look, there's probably somebody else who's a little more passive about it. And I think it's the category like any other part of life where I think the expression, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We're putting the water out there. The information's out there for anybody who wants it. And for those who want it, we're happy to share it. The information is free online. Admission is free to all our shows. We don't charge for our workshops. I mean, we don't take any money from any visitor for anything. So free is as good as we can make it.
My favorite word, free.
It's in my top 10 also.
So I guess the bottom line of all this is that if you're interested in enhancing the quality of your life, whether you be disabled or elderly or caring for a disabled person or caring for an elderly person, through this organization, you have the opportunity to identify tools that may be able to help you enhance not only your life, but the lives of your loved ones. So if they want to reach out to you again, what's the best way?
Best way is go to www.abilities, abilities.com. And if they want to talk to me, just go to the Contact Us button on the website, and my email address and my phone number are right there. I'd be delighted to talk to anybody who wants to chat.
Thank you very much, David. We look forward to your event. Your next one is in Los Angeles. It's February 22nd to the 24th.
This is Minda Wilson for Urgent Care. We'll catch you next time.
You go to the doctor and get a diagnosis you didn't expect and you don't understand. If you're like so many of us, your first move is to search the internet for information on your condition. Wouldn't it be great if you could get real information? That's where MedAdvisor comes in, a completely free website that delivers the most up-to-date information from doctors, hospitals, researchers, and clinical trials worldwide. MedAdvisor is free, private, and personalized information about your specific medical condition. It's literally as simple as going to medivizor.com and signing up for free. MedAdvisor is free, easy to use, and saves you hours searching for information you can't find on your own. MedAdvisor is a private, personalized, and HIPAA-compliant resource. MedAdvisor, improving the lives of people with serious or chronic medical conditions and those who care for them. Your personalized medical information is a simple click away at medivizor.com. medivizor.com.
The first step towards helping someone with a hearing loss is to help them overcome denial. An important step is to stop enabling the hard of hearing person. This means stop being their ears for them, repeating what others are saying or what is spoken on television more loudly for them. The longer someone with hearing loss is able to depend on another person for communication, the longer it can take them to come out of denial and seek medical help. Seniors in particular tend to passively accept their hearing loss as a natural part of aging. Be supportive and offer to help them find simple, affordable, and yes, even cool solutions and lots of great information from Clear Sounds. Visit www.clearsounds.com to learn more. Use coupon code RADIO at checkout and we'll take 20% off your order, and every order is only $3.95 to ship. That's clearsounds.com, CLEARSOUNDS.com.